So good afternoon, everyone. Louder, louder. I want to welcome all of you to the first of our Design Bridges talk series. And I promise you we're going to have a whole lot more. Around 6 we're hoping in a year. And at some point I would like to invite students also to be part of a committee that helps to select this design series. And our hope is to make this series where we invite people, experienced designers, and to bridge both the research and practice, but also say craft and modern technology, entrepreneurship, as well as corporate sort of continuation of design and things like that, right? I was just thinking the other day that both individuals and institutions are not very different. We're quite alike. Every once in a while, there is a need or there is a sense that we should recalibrate, reimagine where we are, and in some ways reinvent ourselves. And in the case of individuals, sometimes what happens is that, at least if you are like me, have crossed a midlife crisis, you go and buy yourself a bright red car. And I've done that. Once, 20 years back, when I was 40, I went and got myself a bright orange Fiat car. Similarly, yesterday, when we were arranging this place, I had a sense that, in a sense, this place is our bright red car, because it kind of heralds change. We also want this space to be one which is inviting. It brings nature in. If you look out, we've got these lovely bougainvilleas. On this side, we have the Palakkad Carter, so to speak, bringing in winds of change. And I'm hoping that this place will become that sort of a place. So we think of this, and what was actually most reassuring for me was that staff, cleaning staff, IT staff, faculty, everyone was involved in getting this thing set up. And I think if we think of our institution as one which is inclusive, which is participatory, which is intimate, like this, which involves everyone and everyone's comfortable, and in a certain egalitarian way, in a sort of a place that we're all comfortable to speak with each other. That's the sort of institution that we're hoping to build. And I hope everyone is going to participate in that with as much enthusiasm as we've seen today. I know that we have to do it with sensitivity to understand what each person's needs are, or whatever else is, right? Other than the Design Bridges talk, which is going to be the campus talks, we are also planning something called a city talk. And the city talk will be held maybe a few less times, but it will be in the city. And there we will call people, not just designers, but we will invite people who are from, say, the discipline of history or from scientists and things like that. And that, we are hoping, will inculcate the idea of multidisciplinary, one, and secondly, help us to connect the dots across various disciplines. Yeah? So, and I'm so happy to have Abhijit here. We've collaborated on a few projects together, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, but I think we had a good time putting that project together. I'm going to invite Richard to come in and introduce our speaker. So thank you so much for coming, Abhijit.
Our speaker today is one of India's leading designers, Abhijit Bansod. An alumnus of NID Ahmedabad, he began his career at Titan Design Studio, where he spent over a decade creating products many of us use every day. He later founded Studio ABD in Bangalore, a design practice known for blending Indian culture with modern technology. He has also been part of ventures like Tigoona, Mubhi, and Xclusiv, each pushing design into new areas, from mobility to luxury to meaningful gifting. Abhijit's work has been recognized around the world with awards like the Red Dot, the British Council's Young Creative Entrepreneur, and a place as a finalist for the Lexus Design Award. He also has served as a juror at major platforms including Cannes Lions, Curious, and India Design Mark, Please join me in welcoming our innovator and designer, Abhijit Bansod.
I think the tough thing is to have a talk after lunch. Second, making you sit on a hard surface. So now I have to have really finished something in half an hour, otherwise everyone's going to start moving out of the room. If I fall asleep, wake me up, okay? Please. So thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Um, it's wonder to be here and at DJ Academy and sort of surrounded by this amazingly curious minds, okay, in what's happening. Uh, and I keep seeing myself sitting there, because designers, I feel that never grow. I go back to NID and still feel like a student, still those same old days. And our, journey, it's really interesting, and I've been seeing that, designers don't evolve, they pivot. And when I say pivot, what's the most important P factor in your life right now? When you apply for a job or internship, what do you share it with the people? Portfolios, right? So you are constantly thinking that what I'm going to do on our portfolios and bringing that up. And then it kind of, it evolves as you go along. Then, projects come in the way. And for long time of your career, like, Sarita said, we collaborated on projects. That's the only currency word you'll use for next many, many, many years. Project कैसा जा रहा है, project मिला क्या, project अरे यार हुआ ही नहीं, project का payment आया नहीं, all these conversations keep going on that. At some point during this, thing that you start looking for is that you really find that you need to find some purpose to your life, okay? And especially in services, you are really driven by what clients are. And in that space, how do you find yourself? How do you build something which is truly you? And continue to sort of nurture that is something really interesting. And one P you'll never get is peace, because we are so hungry breed that we'll never be satisfied with anything. There's always a new learning. There's always a new something coming up, on our way. So yeah, I will try and see how briefly I can take you through. Yeah, so so I didn't know word design, but I knew I want to be in a space which makes something as a kid. And I used to daydream, I used to sketch, those little wet patches on the paint. I used to take a pencil and see the form in that. But of course, unlike today's parents, they didn't put it on a, Instagram, that picture. Rather, they would have painted my face with something, that. So the time was different for that. I used to, take a stone and form a brick, so I could learn that the brick is brittle and stone is harder. And it was really outdoors. My whole life was, outdoors in near Nagpur. So that is something that, so then I thought that what is the closest I can be in design? I have no idea I had no idea that there is design as a profession. There is NID existed at that time. And I thought mechanical will be the closest to making something, because I wanted to be a maker. And hence I did my 11th and 12th in technical school. So I thought I'll get closer to mechanical. So I used to love making lathe machines or whatever I could get, welding, every part, metal, wood, any material. So really fun. And then like in our generation, every kid had to be doctor and engineer, and we had really no options. Sorry, why it's not going? So I joined engineering college in near Pune, between Pune and Kolhapur. But rather than engineering, I was doing everything else: model making, competitions, making games. On that, those posters you see were done in '93. I mean, I don't know whether I had any knowledge of it, but at least the grid, that minimal something has to come. It was there. You just pick up the things around you and you start building something on that. Folding bicycle, that's my college, and we did a lot of gaming. Is to design a game, and my job was to do UI those days. But there was no term called UI in '93, okay, '92. So I used to be a designer, and my partner, who was a tech guy, used to do programming. His name was Narayan Murthy. but not the Narayan Murthy, you know. So, but yeah, so I came very close to next to Narayan Murthy, okay. I wish he was the Narayan Murthy. Would have made my life also along with him. But yeah, so, so thing is that then at some point I got to know about IDC in Times of India. So learning English was the biggest challenge, okay. I come from Marathi background. No one spoke English ever, you know. Anyone spoke English, he was an English uncle in a family. Oh, he's an English uncle and he knows English so well. And I'm sure many families have one English uncle, you know. So then I got Times of India to read in Sunday. There I saw a grad project exhibition of IDC. And I got to know that, oh, there's a profession called design. But I was in third year, so I said, let me just complete my graduation. I'll apply for postgrad. I got through, NID and IDC both. And I had an opportunity to earn 2,500 stipend at IDC at that time. And there was no stipend at NID. But I stayed back at NID, you know. I mean, I took a loan. I convinced my parent to pay more money. So my brother used to call me Garib Baap Ka Amir Beta, you know. So that's how, I don't know, I hope you know Hindi. So little bit, okay. So, but I think NID was, yeah. Yeah, NID was incredibly fun. You know, I think that 3.5 years, I met Vaidi there, your dean, you know. So I think it was defining for all of us, you know. It's not that we learned something, but we kind of discovered ourselves in a different way, you know, who we are, what we do. Sorry. So it's kind of, yeah, and a lot of work in NID, you know, in nature and form. Everything was handmade. All the model making was the one of my most exciting journey there. Making this model by, you know, MDF, PVC pipe, painting, forming. It was really fun. Miniature model like that. I had made this bag out of jeans pant and caused a lot of controversy. Some of them hated it, some of them liked it, but I used it, you know. JL Naik used to hate that bag. And I got to know this from Suranjana later, you know, like for many years. So, but I think our job, realize that the platform, if you create, that you can freely express yourself and bring provocation, good or bad. You know, I think it's good for us, you know, because we need that, you know. Moved on, then you know, when you begin as an industrial designer, I'm the parting line boy, you know. I mean, who are the industrial designers here? Raise your hand. You know what is parting line? Yeah? That line you'll never cross. All your life will be discussing, "Arey, parting line kaise aa raha hai, you know, isme." So this parting line is very important for industrial designers, okay? Okay, so any part, when you mold, there are two halves of mold coming in, and you'll find this fine line coming on the plastic part. It's called parting line. And most of the industrial designers spend their time figuring it out how to avoid a parting line, okay? So parting line won't go away, you know. So yeah, so P for parting line again, I'm talking about the P-evolution, you know, remember that. So yeah, and you know, and one of the dream was to make products so good looking that, I don't know if you guys remember ID magazine, of course your generation won't, but our time we had a magazine called ID, okay? That was the Instagram of that moment, that if your product featured in English-speaking, white-skin world, you have arrived there, okay? You're a superstar. And I think because we did not have any references of, you know, industrial design of that level. So that kind of form, that kind of sophistication, that kind of fluidity, how do you achieve? Because, you know, I mean, that's something we, of course, they had, you know, it started in West, so you can, a lot of influence of that. Our education is based on that. Minimalism, the industrial thing. And as you go, then, you know, your heroes were like Dieter Rams and Philip Stark, and you see their work and say that, wow, it's so incredible. How can they make so amazingly simple? How can they bring focus on one subject and give it to you? And we end up seeing so many things we try to solve in India, right? You have too many things you saw at one go, and there's one thing you miss is that you don't remember that, recall that product. Uh, so how do I become that? You know, I mean, entire quest was to find myself in them, and I should be standing among themselves one day, and that's the only proud moment I'll ever have, you know. And so that kind of thing, you know, from that started with my first collection I did called Life Things. Lot of influence in thinking of urban life, and this was in 1999 in Java City. There was a place, so small in Lavelle Road in Bangalore. I really, I mean, I was working at Titan that time, but Titan was one of the incredible companies who allowed us to do other work other than Titan, but as long as it's non-competitive one. Very rarely you'll find companies like Titan. It's really one of the finest thing, and Michael, Neil, there are many people from Titan who have benefited being there. So that was the Urli's expression. When I came to South, I saw Urli as one of the very beautiful product, where the brass Urli. But how do I interpret that very differently in transparency? How do I get, you know, this is the bottle opener, you know, and its teeth have fallen, but he's happily doing his job, you know. That the cheese vase, and probably never seen a cheese in life, but I did a cheese vase, you know. I mean, that's a you know, paradox of a life, that I'm trying to be a Westerner so much that, you know, when I go there, they'll think that, wow, you think like us. So why don't you come on my platform, because you're so amazing. So really pushing that thing. Some of them are expression of, you know, Loch Ness Monster, which I never been to, you know, UK before that, you know. But the work was really expressing in that. So this was the design journey of, you know, of really finding this different expressions, but we were really, you know, playing with material, learning form, controlling what storytelling is, what is the CFM controls the, you know, the story of the form. How do I get one story at a time and not adding too many things into that? So you'll find a lot of sort of simplicity which kind of influenced my work. So can I have a water, please? Someone? It's a bottle. Oh, thank you. So this industrial design, or when I say design word, that continued on many things. And challenge was to really find some Indianness, some local connect to that. So we did something, we started saying that the top load machine is the inferior to front load washing machine. So that how do I make top load very interesting, that, you know, people, you will be really feel proud of buying that. So we sort of worked on entire transparency on top and get a really sculpted form on that. When Brita is a German water purifying brand, and when they came to India, they invited us to reinterpret their brand, their product for Indian market. So how do you create a ROI? You know, one product, you know, can create a 3 variants. I'm just showing you a little bit of industrial design, so that, you know, you respect me at the end. Otherwise, you're saying, "Ye kya dikha raha hai," you know. So engineering part of that, learning it, how do you get that surface so perfect? I mean, our life goes on not having sink mark. How many guys, you know, sink mark now? Okay, when you injection mold product, wherever there's a fins or something, that plastic sinks a little bit there. And it's not a good sign of good product design. We should get a perfect surface, you know. So how do you avoid such a large surface on that, and there's a curve? How do you achieve that? What material will do it? I think it's really tough. Industrial design, in my opinion, is extremely tough. Tough in a sense that someone comes and says that 3 months we want to launch something, and in my mind I'm laughing, saying that, boss, industrial design mein 3 months mein kuch nahi hota hai. Sorry. So tube light, was it's a study room, always had a tube light, or as a childhood, no other light could come there, and people with tube light won't have a mood lighting, in that. So LED got a very different, opportunity of changes in that. So we did this very beautiful form, which has a warm light, which has a cool day light. It also has a mood light at the back ring, so that every home had a very beautiful mood light in the evening, when you're playing some ghazals and songs. You don't need to have another light. And most of these families just have a one lamp, one light at a home. So how do you see the behavior? How do you still add a sculpturous value to the same product, same cost? It's the challenge was to keep it into the same costing. Sorry, my bad. Sorry. So that really changed that. I think the image is just halfway through coming, not sure. Very interesting project of industrial design of, getting opportunity to change the mundane daily products, Then we got another opportunity to do young pens for Gen Zs like you guys. And we were looking at what do we do at 4.5 grams. So client says don't add more than 4.5 grams. Do whatever in that. We won't give you 1.5 gram also because we're making this in millions. So, it is for ITC. So how do you bring the magic of that? So kind of bringing the whole thing of, hook where, bonds are formed, it's like a little fidget, you're playing with something, you're hooking this on someone. You're kind of creating stories around the product in the same opportunities and same challenges of, material, what you have. So it's that closest attention to detail, it's whether it's 4 grams or whether it's that, I think it's really fun in pushing the boundaries. Another one was spin where, you like to play with something when you're sitting. So it kind of, you can play and with this pen. And this was called spin for classmate again. You can see some of the CFMs for that. So this was my first project, one of the first project when I started Studio ABD after Titan. And it's called Study Light. The company, I'm not sure you heard of BPL, but it's not there anymore. But it used to be a very big company in our time. Then it started declining. But this project was incredible because this came in 2008. It had a battery backup of 6 hours, where kids at homes where there is no UPS or a light can study in a very good quality light in exam time. And so the whole story was, how, in our childhood, whenever the power went, we used to pray to God because, it was really do or die situation, because you're really studying only one night before. And it was really challenging time. So I used to count backwards, saying that when I reach 0, I hope the light comes back, because it's really frustrating in that. And if the light comes back, it's almost like a Vardhan. Bhagwan is coming and saying that take it boss from you. So it's that whole idea of the halo and the saint who's coming in that inspired this lamp. It's called Halo. The project name is Halo, but Study Light is a product marketing name. And it had a white zinc. Can you see there's a halo ring which shines, in the night, on the top. So it was really fun project. We actually had a peppermint smell in the plastic. So when kid opens it, he feels like he got a fresh product, in their hand. That. So this is something, then it won a Red Dot Award in 2010. And when I went to Isan, which is where the Red Dot Award happens, there's a large poster with this lamp along with the, Apple and the Mercedes-Benz product. And I think that's why I say that this is a retirement time. I don't think I need anything else more than this, right? I mean, your product is next to Apple. I think I'm going back. Now I'm retiring. That's it. I can take a sannyas after this. But yeah, I mean, it really kind of, I feel like, that moment I realized that I joined the club. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you the next journey more than that. And I probably realized that now I can refine the product to the level that Red Dot thinks it's worthy of award. Stop. I'm so sorry. Okay. Um, I'll hold it up. Sorry. So yeah, I'm not, it meant so much that period of time. It's not that I'm belittling it by saying this. But yes, at my mind, there was always a conflict in my mind saying that, I, I don't think I've done anything for my heart if it's not Indian, even including that lamp. Okay, it's just me. And I realized that the 4 first alphabets of design is Desi, You know what Desi is? And you realize that Desi has been hidden in this word for so long. And then why are we not seeing the power of that? And how can we really not do something about where we come from? And that's where it's like if you really think that, what India, think that where is the inspiration, I always say streets are inspiration. You think nothing, you just go and walk and I guarantee you see something new every time. And that's incredibly hard in Western countries to see something new every day. Because everything is predictable. You live in Hong Kong for 1 week, you know the sound of the metro, everything is like it's just clockwork. You're just working continuously around that and that. And I have no idea why Chole Kulcha has that UFA looking thing. You guys anyone seen Chole Kulcha birth wheel in Delhi? Yeah? वो UFO जैसा क्यों है? No one knows. Can you see this second from the left? Right there. Anyway, so it's like it's like a design without designers. Indian streets are. I mean, there are so many inspiration around that. Leave whenever the bus shuts or stalls on a road, they'll pluck one branch from the side and plug it on that, okay? There is no hazard sign, there is no warning sign, there is nothing. And it works. No one shouts there, everyone manages and maneuvers around it. And we found our own way of doing it. It's just that it's not very well nicely told, like the British accent or something, I feel that you need to find a way to tell these stories beautifully, where we come from. So in Bangalore, you will find every wine store has big MRP written on the outside. Every store, okay? And you wonder who decided that this sign has to come here? But every store is MRP store. I mean, they're honest to MRP value. That's the only thing, So yeah, sometimes the inspiration is next door. And I was looking at some videos, Sarita showing on Chai Wala outside your campus. And you guys were talking about how you guys go and engage there every time. So my first product in my life was omelette, okay? So I designed this omelette in 1994, okay? And this was just a chopped slice, boiled egg and baked together, fried together. So he named it as Abhijit Omelette, okay, that guy. And still today, it is available in some 10 stores in Ahmedabad. That guy who passed away, but he bought a flat worth 80 lakhs, okay? He's a rich person, his company. So I calculated if I had charged him 10% of whatever he sold at, 10 rupee that time, 200 rupee today, number of omelettes sold, compounding thing, that's the value came to 1.3 crore, okay? That. In how many years? 30 years, right? 30 years you compounding that value. I think that is the value we have, that we have a ready market of people who are willing to buy what you do. And if you start seeing that it's not only the big projects who's going to give you money and fame. I mean, it feels amazing that, and not only me, there are many omelettes named after, many NIDians, after this. But there's a Varsha half fry, there's Diana something. So everything, he was very smart. He get all the students from NID to do these branding products. He made his million, hum aise hi reh gaye, So, yeah, so this is the power of, Desi in design, that, what incredible things you can do on that scale. I came close to realization of what, Indian design would be through Indian craft. I was forced to do craft collection. I didn't want to do. I mean, I went to Titan to do amazingly glossy watches and something like that. But I said, oh God, मेरे को village जाना पड़ेगा. My other friends are going to Basel in Switzerland. I'm going to Etikopaka near Visakhapatnam, not happening by bus, okay? What is this, So anyway, but it was most humbling experience, working with the craftsmen in Etikopaka. And It was a clock collection, and the challenge was to get handcraft and precision company like Titan on same platform. How do you agree to something at same level? I think. Yeah. Okay. Um, I'll do it from back. So the outcome was really incredible, I mean, these were the clocks which out of that. It had a injection molded glass. We had a lot of innovation done on how to, the movement, how to design a hand. Ram had done the dials, it was called Kam. So Ram was another Sarita's partner. I think that time he was independently practiced. Yeah. So, and it was really collaborative project, really people coming together. So this was the first introduction to the of what we can do here. And for sure, no one else can do it because it's so unique to our country, this vegetable dyes and craft at that time, that, yeah. So, it kind of really started seeing that, spoke of Desi and saying that, whether it's human, only exciting thing came is always Indian in the work I did. So I don't know when MTV came to India, it actually first gave very Indian pop culture a form to it, a voice to it. Okay. Phone is switched off though. Yeah. So MTV came and sort of brought very, I mean, everything of daily street India, started coming as a pop culture that time. And we were thinking of how do we bring pop culture on watches. So we thought of India Masala, Fast Track Masala watches. Fast Track was a young brand that time. It's old branding of Fast Track. And it was really fun collection. So I worked with Georgie, he was a common friend of ours that he was interning that time. And we did silly thing from samosa to bindi to graphic, chalta hai. I mean, they were really funny watches like, chalta hai on top where there's no parking and everything happening and there's a parking and, there's nothing on the side of the strap on the left top. Bindi, samosa, Mother Teresa, Bombay Kacha, so Bombay Kacha became very big story in MTV. And so when we,
Fast Track MTV Masala watches, rupees 500 only, inspired by genuine nonsense.
So it was really inspired by genuine nonsense, you try to really take something out. In 1999, I went to first foreign trip, that's another tick mark for all of us that you have to do it. And it was US and it was backpacking for a 1 month there. And in that period, I went to Philadelphia and there is this Independence Bell. And they were really, that guide was saying that the 250-year-old bell, that time was 250-year-old, 1999. And my mind was scratching that the lake I grew was 300 years old, okay, in my house. And said how proud he is for his cracked bell and I'm not proud of where I'm coming from. And like this, I'm sure you ask everyone, everything is 5,000 year old, 10,000 year old, and then we just don't value it where we come from. So that kind of gave, I mean, my entire childhood is gone in playing with, old barracks of British time. And that's the first time we saw English commode, okay? In childhood, maybe in 80s or something. And the lot of discussion on how people actually use it, okay? On that. And so that's the swimming pool from the Bhosla period, okay? So it's a mirrored backside, another one there. So this quest of finding where we come from led to a collection called Heritage Collection in Titan. It was my self-initiative. It wasn't that Titan wanted to, on that. And that collection I designed in 2001, but it was launched in 2007. So it had a journey of Indian architecture influences, like starting from mandala. So the watch on the right, your right, is inspired by mandala, which is a base of Hindu architecture. And it is manifest, I think the stepwells, I'm sure you've seen, experienced it. So one of the manifestation is that. So it takes the inspiration from that. The left side is Nimrana, which is inspired by Jharokas of Rajputana, in how the light and shadow and how women use it to peep outside what's happening. So it was a window for them, for the world. So it sort of captured that very fineness of that. Stamba is again inspired by the temple architecture and the rawness of it. So when I designed these watches, I actually carried the raw stone to Hong Kong because we couldn't make this in India. I mean, unfortunately, all this heritage was made in China because they could only do it. But, and I had to show him that I want this rough stone. And right side is the Gita, where Kurukshetra, moment of war of Kurukshetra, where Krishna and Arjuna on the chariot and the warriors around it. So to get that kind of a emboss, switching off on its own. Yeah, so in that time when I asked Bhaskar Bhatt that, what happened, that why did you launch this in 2007 and not in 2001? He said that now India is ready for India. And it was really true that having that sense of understanding of pulse of people, Bhaskar was incredible leader in that way. So 2002, when we used to go to Basel, which is like a mecca of watches, and there Mr. Desai was a founder. Used to take us to this 7-course French meal in the Swiss castle. And we like poor designers who never travel anywhere and getting 7-course. It's switching off on its own. Okay, I hope it continues. So Mr. Desai said that if you don't experience luxury, how you'll ever design it? And that's really true. I mean now, and I used to ask this question to good friends of mine who used to work in telco, Tata Motors that time. That used to be telco earlier, right? John Luxem thing, right? And I said, guys, you go on bike and you design cars. How it's possible to design a car, So Titan, we are allowed to, there was a library of watches, including gold watches. You allowed to take a watch on your own like a library. You can wear it and put it back, I mean, that was the kind of a system Titan had. They'll really make sure that, you understand that, what luxury is. So when you look at the luxury in India, or any luxury, it's always a connection meaning, where, and root, the history of that. So it's always that inertia which is being celebrated. So this was my first project for Titan when I moved out. I was doing it's called Palace Collection. So I traveled to many palaces, close to 19 palaces that time. So shortlisted 4 palaces, Rambagh Palace, Umaid Bhavan in Jodhpur, Rambagh Palace in Jaipur, Lake Palace, Udaipur, and Falak Numa in Hyderabad. I mean, you probably heard or seen, visited some of them. So I'll show you the watches from Rambagh Palace. So Rambagh Palace was very warm, like Rajmata Gayatri Devi, very pretty, and it's almost though she was a face of royalty. And everything reflects her taste of, a lot of proportions, very, very inviting, very warm. So the Queen's watch was inspired by this fountain, which is in the courtyard. And it's really beautiful, one of my favorite products. This has 200 diamonds, and it's crafted in solid gold. So the blue ones are not topaz, but they're blue treated diamonds. So they're, and the mother of pearl kind of brings a very dreamy dial. So mother of pearl is translucent. So you print from back side and you print from front. So you get a very hazy kind of a feel to that. So I'm just telling you material so that, you learn along with that. The King's watch was again, in solid gold with Swiss movement. It was a limited edition, 49 of each were made. This was retailed at 7 lakhs and above in 2010. Okay, so it was a very, very expensive watch at that time. Probably, maybe the most expensive watch from Indian brands at that time. So it's really kind of connecting those dots and finding now, from 500 rupee humor, we did really well, to heritage collection, which we sold close to almost 200,000 watches on that, to 600,000, 6 lakhs rupee watch, and all are inspired by India. This entire collection without any advertisement was sold out just off the retail, okay, at 6 lakhs. I mean, we realized that how powerful stories we are sitting on, but we are not really making the use of that in that. Yeah, so one more product, like calligraphy. I worked with Achyut Palo. You guys know Achyut Palo? Anyone? So he's a calligrapher in Bombay. He's very, very well known for his work. So we had commissioned him to do a sort of calligraphy, and first time I was happy to get the numbers in the Devanagari typography in that. So design can't be this boring, serious thing, that when I used to look at animation, when I used to look at movies, so that can make you cry or make you laugh. Industrial design mein kaun hasta hai rota hai mere product ke dekh. And what can I bring that magic of that? How can I use P for provocation in the work I do, so that it kind of brings that thing. Anyone knows what the concept of chai pani here in North? Bribe, correct. So in North, when the work is done, the babu or cop or guy will ask, sir, chai pani ke liye kuch do. So it's chai pani. So when the Anna Hazare's movement was happening, anti-corruption, in 2001, I don't know when was it, maybe. Yeah, so I designed this chai pani bank, and chai pani bank is just a sort of, funny take on piggy bank of saving money for a chai pani fund, okay, in future. So you keep feeding cop and babu and the neta, the politician, the money from their head, and kind of save that money for future. I mean, the idea was when you break the ceramic thing, you break the tradition. So then I gifted this to Anna Hazare only. And he was very happy. I have his Marathi letter saying that, you made me smile in this, thing. So, I mean, I don't know what product design is, and if you look at it, again, making that in ceramic was another challenge. So every time you see some amazing product, there is a whole history of struggle at how to make it happen, okay? And it's not easy, most often in industrial design, because it's a third dimension to it, and there are dependency on so many people in that. So the collection, live things you saw, then I said I won't do any more Western collection. I will do inspired by India, handcrafted in India, and try and bring some urban relevance to it by technology or whatever I could do in that. So we started a collection called Mubhi. Just show you a very short film, 30 seconds, so you'll get to know what the products are. How do I do? So, I mean, that sort of journey then kind of introduce you to the Desi part of it, from design to Desi. At some point, when you start growing old, you say, kya kar raha hu profession mein, how many years I spent on this? What did I contribute? What did I do? Become very reflective in some point. Some mornings become worse than others, but yeah, it does happen to all of us at different points. So we live in this, especially in pandemic, realize that the struggle what street vendors went through. So that we live in a very gated community. This campus is nice. Once you go out, you see a different reality. Every campus is nice, home or here, but outside is different. And how do you, how do you make sure that we kind of, we can do amazing aesthetics for our festivals, but our daily life is so bad. Wherever that hawker is selling food, he's throwing it on a corner. It's so dark, it's so dingy. It's not that he doesn't have a money to clean, it's only his area. But we live like that. We are used to living with our problems, we got like used to living in that problem. And if you want to change the country, which is Des in Hindi, so Des, saying that I see now Des, we need to change our streets. The moment we'll change our streets should be better than home. That's what Europe is done for somehow, on that. That's time you will get a sense of pride in what you do. You feel amazing when you go to airports, and you see now a lot of things are changing. But daily life on street, how much government can do, It's up to us how we can do that. So started with, people on the bicycle, saying that, businesses on bicycle are so many. The coconut one, the guys who have dragged the coconut on bicycle for 20, 30 years, that. So hence the Tigoona was born. So Tigoona in Hindi means 3 times, okay? Teen guna. So 3 times. Everything 3 times, where you're gonna have a better reach, better comfort, safety, but most important that they don't earn respect because of the way, they conduct or the way they are. And can it be a uniform? With the silly stick and a skinny policeman gets more respect in our country than a giant coconut wala, that one. So uniform and identity still plays a role, and how can to them?
In today's economy, street vendors and delivery executives play a crucial role. They are the fabric of the traditional market and the voice of aspiration. But how often have you seen massive bags on their personal two-wheelers, struggling for balance as they ride away to their next delivery? Introducing a hybrid tricycle, specially designed to relieve the burden on our delivery partners. The Tigoona EAV. Incredible maneuverability across sharp corners, and the assist make it a perfect city companion. Tigoona has a load carrying capacity of up to 150 kilograms, with high usability for all kinds of businesses. Powered by a 250-watt electric motor, the pedal assist has a range of around 90 kilometers. Immense branding space makes it adaptable to any brand and turn them into a fleet. India is becoming a smarter, more agile country, and it's time to give our delivery industry a turbo boost into the future.
Was our self-initiative to kind of bring some kind of opportunity for whatever that you call lowest denominator. But if you don't change that, I don't think just making new streets, will help. So yeah, so this journey is sort of evolved into, from design to Desi to this. And so I'm just training my mind with this awareness that, we need to keep seeing opportunities around us. And there are business opportunities, there are social opportunities. And our tool is design. And, whatever best we could do to use that design, we will really do. So this is what I write every once in a while. I mean, there's a lot of things on how I see Desi in design and subjects and topics around us, from chai to crafts to, Like Indian flowers is my favorite one nowadays. So I'm working so that why do we take jarberas and stem flowers when you go to someone's home, but I'm not taking jasmine flowers, bunch of them, when I'm going to someone's house. So how do we celebrate our abundance in a form factors which are not designed for us? Most of the form factors are very Western, which came from Amsterdam's, flower thinking. How do we bring our own way of life? How do we celebrate that? And so it's that 2008. I think there is an opportunity to take the brands from India out, build brands which are inspired and built by based on Indian stories, and really put craftsmanship, very high level of refinement, and take this out. So this is just one more last of the sorry, so I'm going to show you something which I just wrote, something called Desi bots, saying that if you ever had only bot, we have seen as like a robotic something is that women doing namaste in very chota stores outside, okay? In that you go to temple, they will have this nagara to make the arti automation or something like that. But in pandemic, I think the floor cleaning bot introduced truly automatic bots, okay, in that. If we had to design, India has to design its own bots. Have a look.
अरे बाबा, इतना काम करवाते हो आप लोग? सुबह से साफ कर रही हूँ। एक और देना। हाँ जरा।
And thank you so much for having me here. You've been wonderful.
Is there any common platform that we can look for designs, or we can submit new designs? Do we have anything like that?
Is there any common platform too?
See, I'm new to this industry. I just wanted to design something and show it to people. Do we have anything in common?
I think today's world, luckily we have all access to social media. I mean, whatever you do, start putting, people will give you good feedback.
No, apart from that, industrial designing.
I'm not sure, but you can, if you need a help to make this sort of on the product, assistance or something, I'm sure most designers are friendly. So any agency in your town should help you what to do next on that. Right? I really doubt anyone will say no to that, yeah.
Okay, no, I'm looking for Indian crafts and working on that. I want to give a red carpet welcome to the craftsman and things like that.
Okay.
So I'm just looking for the opportunity that I can just showcase them in a better, as how you have done it. I see that wooden,
You-
the
you-
craft was modified to a wall clock.
As an individual, lot to know more. As a bigger opportunity one, I'm sure, I think there are craft councils and things. I'm not sure whether I understand your thing, but you want to show me something, I'll be happy to see it. I can give you my contact.
Yeah,
Any
sure.
help I can do, I'll be happy to do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can hear me? Hi. In your career, has there been a point where you had to balance the passion for Indian aesthetic and financial decision? I'm asking because with personal projects and with interests, a lot of the time there's this question of should I sell my own culture for my own profit? Has that ever been a dilemma for you?
I'm sure we still have to do. I'm still doing it that, I mean, it's not easy. But over the period, once you start finding the meaning in that and you convert some of this, you see the value created and businesses are created around it. Today it's easier for me to sell the concept of Indianness, and it took a long time, but now I get inquiries saying that in that industry they want to see Indian perspective, which is I really want to do. But I feel that you have to balance it out both. You have to survive. It's not only my survival, because I wear the same T-shirt every day. Okay, so it doesn't matter. But my team wants to grow, wants to buy a new car. So I have to make sure that everyone's things is considered in that. So we do find a balance, but you don't leave your aim or your goal what you're doing it. Sometimes you may take a detour, you might take time, but you keep inching towards what you want to do. And there's no goal, it's just a journey. The meaning of what I thought Indian 20 years back is different than today what I think about it. Yes.
Thank you.
Sir, you said about the Titan watches where you designed like incorporating stepwell things and all those things. This will work in India. So how if you take it to abroad, the people who there don't know about stepwells or the Indian culture something, how it will be a good platform there kind of?
I mean, so many celebration of Western brands. We never been there, we never seen it, but it's just a storytelling. So it's up to us, how do we tell our stories? In what I see abroad, it's a fascination for India by everyone, India as a story and a concept is very big, whether, in everything. So I'm sure that in next 10 years you will find a lot of international brands from India will be coming around. Yeah.
From Mrs. Andhrajan. So I had an organization called Young Indians, and I'm a design enthusiast myself. So I always have this question in mind. I mean, it's so nice to see all the Indian heritage and the ideas you take from Indian traditional intricacies. There are so many like that. But how do you take this and make it scalable across on a global platform? What are the challenges you face? Because we root ourselves too much into bringing Indian heritage into a mass acceptance across the world. But what are the challenges you face as a designer to make it scalable or make your designs more acceptable in the global front?
I think one of the biggest challenge design community faces is the distribution and understanding of sales and marketing. Because we are good at creating provocations. We may not be good at operations, okay, of that job year after year. I mean, Rolex is not changed for last 50 years. So that guy for 40 years sold the same looking watch again and again. You ask designer to do that, they'll never do it because, our job is to keep seeing new, something. So trying to do everything on your own is something designers have made a mistake. Little bit the ego and little bit of not knowing how to do both.
I mean, it's nice you took the example of Rolex because it's again run by a foundation.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a private limited company. So I think the foundation itself runs the design aesthetic of Rolex, and that's why they are consistent with what they deliver.
Yeah.
So can that be same replicated in India as well?
I'm sure, I feel that David Griffith used to say that design is too important to leave it at designers, okay? Somebody else has to really scale that up and manage and understand. very rarely you will find successful scaled design businesses. Okay, it's always remain. I always think that our job is to create very strong provocations. We can create a brand, we can create a storytelling, but distribution is a very different thinking. Putting the money, finding right association, finding right partners abroad, taking it back to Europe and try to sell it back to them where we come from. But I also think in India itself, we have 1.4 billion people. And I don't think anyone in the world, any country has captive audience like this. You don't need to go out. If they want to come in, fantastic, take us out. I mean, I'm just not arrogant way, but to at least start with India itself is a good. And a lot of Indians are looking for that pride moments. Like we do a lot of work for CEO gifting, MD gift, and premium VVIP gifting we call it. Their biggest challenge is that they don't want to give Mont Blanc pen anymore. Neither they want to give a Kaveri Emporium statue anymore. So what is that in between stands is the interpretation by design only. And there is, I think there is an opportunity I feel, but I think it needs a collaboration. I don't think just a design house or just a designer can do it. I think fashion industries created a lot of platforms. They've impacted a lot more brand India outside than any other profession in design, which is an opportunity. Automobiles in India is happening very big way, in my opinion. Mahindra, one example, and many more, I mean, even Ashok Leyland, all of them are doing good work here today. I think it will change, but it needs people like you to sort of create a platform, use the opportunities and then find sort of opportunity to take it out,
Thanks.
As a teacher, I tell my students after their studies and internal project studies and redefine the design brief, develop some 10, 15 different options and then evaluate it against the design brief. But in practice, very frankly, I go at 2 or 3 options and then my right brain kicks in and it starts evaluating, then modify it, then correct it, or go on a certain different route. So I'm not really practicing what I preach. How is it with you? I mean, do you go ahead, develop 15 options and then start evaluating, or it goes on parallelly, creation and evaluation?
I think each one of us have different work. At least if I am working in, I really never done 15 options. Okay, so I feel 3 is the max I would ever work on that.
Me too.
But as a teacher, as a student, we did 150 forms. Okay, that's what it is. And Mr. J. Panchal was our teacher, remember? So he used to ask us to do 10 by 10 by 10 paper cube. And whenever we went there, he'll say that it's 0.25 mm more because you didn't consider the paper thickness, when you make a cube of paper. And then you go on, you feel a stage of crying in that project. Okay, see that you, kya kar rahe yaar? Hum to design karne aaye the. We came here to save the world and I'm only doing this, Fun 1 month I'm drawing straight lines in 2B and then I'm doing cutting papers perfectly 10 by 10. And later you realize that, when you practice it so many times, that's the only time it becomes part of you. Okay, it's only when you see somebody doing it easily after 30 years he worked, it looks amazingly well. But it's not Instagram. And I think another problem with Instagram is that we are seeing very extremely detailed videos of people making something, and with dopamine, mind tells you almost done it. He's done it, so you have done it, so you don't need to do anymore. So it's really weird. So earlier used to inspire us to go and do something. Now I stop because the next video is already down, to something, see something, a new one. So it's not inspiring me to actually do that. I'm living in his life. I'm putting myself, because the camera is like this, right? I feel I'm doing it, my mind tells me you've done it, boss, why you don't need to do anything. So earlier I see some model, we used to go back and start sketching that, practicing that, style of, renderings and things. But now I think it's fooling at least social media fooling us of, training your brain not to do it. But if you don't do it by hand, You will never know. But yeah, I mean, the way it's going, you know, you can ask ChatGPT to do for you, so why you need to do all that? But this is a good time to connect hand in material and mind, okay? Because if that's not connected, you'll never induce the character you're designing for that product. When I mean character, it's the form, it's how it behaves, what is the finish, what is the texture, is it a cold, is it aluminum cold, is it a steel cold, or it's a MDF warm, you know? So what is that you're holding? Or is it a rubber, or it's a PU? So you, especially any, I mean, industrial design, or as long as we are in a physical world, we must know. Without that, and there will be very few people, and I used to call that, you know, we are the Jurassic Age designers, because I don't do UI UX, okay? And we are still in the physicality of everything we do. And then we felt so left out at one point, because everyone was making millions, okay, almost millions in going to Infosys and things like that. And we were idiots doing physical products, pen bana rahe, watch bana rahe, and all that. But now I feel there are only few left here. There are only 2-3 people know how to what I do. So I think I have a hope that now anyone has to do something, there are only few people they can go to. So I think it's good to hold on to that. It is no practice. If you're not going to do practice of this, it won't. It will never come to you. So now I would suggest give them 100 and not less than that. You know that. Yeah.
Guys, you heard it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm framing the question properly, but then when, like, there's a lot of things around us where we can take inspiration from to design, but like, you know, in your watches, you have chose like one particular element from wherever you went. You chose that element and you're like, this would work in that watch. How do you know that that particular element would actually work? Or I don't know how to ask that question, but then I don't know how to incorporate that inspiration into a design.
So when you practice it a lot, especially if you, any industry you go, like, you know, watch industry is about refinement. Everything is refined. Automobile industry about fluidity. The forms are like, you can see the light passing just beautifully reflecting on it. So once you do so many times, like 100 forms I did, and I did 500 watches before that. So anything you do, you know how to bring it to that level of acceptance, okay, to yourself and to others, you know, what they're seeing it. And then there is always a texture, there's a form, and it's like in communication design, you do hierarchy of information. In industrial design, you need to do hierarchy of finishes, that, you know, all is not important. There's a silhouette which holds and defines the form, which creates a memory structure. So anything like the hook pen I showed you, remember now, because it's so simple. So you strive towards that simplicity and iconism, that you bring the, kids should be able to define that product. Saying that, hey, you know, remember, wo wala pen chahiye. If I don't know language, can I define the product by, wo round wala lamp chahiye, you know, I mean, like that. So you start taking into that. I mean, I don't know, I can explain more than that, but you do very critical analysis of what is already there. And you actually, it's like a art, you copy it 10 times, you get a formula behind that, you know. So it's not difficult to do it, but it just looks difficult when you start. It's like marathon, I'm sure, you know. Today you start running 45 kilometers, looks impossible. But people have done it, you know, I mean, over the practice. So it's practice, and your mind, hand, even if you wake you up, you will do this level of work because you've done it day in, day out, you know. So what you don't see is the 1,000 sketches before that would have happened, you know, to do that, yeah.
Now, you've told that you've worked with craftsmen, right? If you're designing a product based on their craft, how do you make sure that you just don't appropriate it?
It is? What appropriate mean?
Like just copy pasting it and putting it in something.
I don't know, I could never work with what they do, you know, so I treated them as equal partners. So there are two theories to it. A lot of people think that you are using them in your, what you want, as an industrial, almost a handcraftsman industry. The other says that it's not ethical to change what they've been doing. Okay, so I'm not sure whether I can take a side of that, but the way my personal view on craft is that they are my equal partners. So whether it's industrial area guy who's doing CNC milling, and I'm going to part which is going to get from Chenapatna, I see the vision of 3-4 materials coming together to tell the story, each one of them playing a part. Part of that is a craft. So my view is that, but that's personal view. I'm not sure whether it's a sort of, it's true for everyone who sees a craft that way.
Hi Abhijit. So we could see a lot of, a very broad range in the kind of projects that you've done. Like some of them have sort of embodied simplicity, and then there are projects like Titan where there's a lot of sophistication, and then there's the MTV project where there's, it's inspired from nonsense. So there's a huge range in the kind of projects that you've done. So I was just curious as to how do you approach these projects that are on the, polar ends of the spectrum? So how do you, is there a set approach and thought process that you take towards a project to project, or does it differ from project to project? And how has it evolved from the time you were at Titan and, over the years until now? How has your thought process and your approach towards projects evolved over time?
So I think that's what I say, that there are specific designers and there are industrial designers. Industrial designers are born to do everything, okay? So in Titan, it was graphic design, tumhi karo. I mean, there's no one else, man. There's no team. So by default, we were designers for everything. That's why UX designers, space designers, you'll find industrial designers are going everywhere and calling themselves product designers now, okay? So yeah, I think it's a variety of things, but it's, at least to me, I think that I'm a storyteller first. I maybe would have done a good job in films and ad agency also, because I can see the nuance of that, how I can get an emotion out, but my medium is products today and limited graphic level, but I always collaborated, so a lot of graphics you see is maybe somebody else is doing it, but I would tell what I want, because my limitations will come in a play, in some way. But you start, because you participate in such a multidisciplinary thing that you're working with MTV, seeing them, they're translating your little concept into such amazing communication here. I mean, I like the communication than watch, it's just really so amazing. It can bring that provocation to people. And I think then you start connecting these very larger dots of what does it create, what is the universe of that brand or a product today. So from Titan days, where my focus was maybe watches and different collections, I think today it's much larger, as I was looking at creating parks, we creating museums. I mean, we did also very interesting museum, me and Sarita together, and the other partners also. So wherever there is opportunity to create anything Indian that people never thought that how Indian something came up so beautiful, I think that transformation will make who we are, for next generation. And my idea of writing all of that is that most of the young designers don't go through the rut of Western validation. Start finding your thing, but learn from them. Probably they're still the most amazing in terms of bringing simplicity to the storytelling and on that. And the difference between them and us, many interns who came from abroad, French and Mexican, I had a lot of them. Their focus on one subject is incredible. And our ability to solve 100 things at the same time is incredible. But it both has that. So I say that, we celebrate underdogs and scarcity a lot, but scarcity has created products like us, but abundance create product like, ChatGPTs and Facebooks of the world or Ubers of the world. We cannot create that. We don't even think how to think like that. So he said, okay, it's okay, you're on 100 million, do it. This is what we'll do. Even if they give you 100 million, we won't know what to do with 100 million. So I think both abundance creates something and not having material enough also creates another system. Both will coexist, but hopefully we reach a point that we create as competitive abundance level of very global product from India. And that would come from one of our systems only, and I feel that way. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question. Sure.
You have quite a diverse source of inspirations, and once you get a brief, it's not like you would suddenly get inspired that this is what I want to do. So is there a way that you record these inspirations somewhere and then like review them when you get a particular brief, or what is your process like on choosing which inspiration to use where?
I think one of the biggest tool which designers had, okay, I won't say anymore we have, is the visualization, okay, and we need to use that. So all my sketchbooks from NID are still with me, from, I don't know, 30 years, I have like one cupboard full of only sketchbooks, okay. So now, if I get an idea, I make sure that I sketch it, I write it, what I had intent behind it, and I have one channel in Slack, I keep dumping it there, saying that one day I will go to this. So one of them now we are applying for patent this year on, we started working on that. So you keep your wish list ready, I mean, I genuinely think that design school should help students at least carry 3 design registration when they leave, So it's a very powerful thing to have. It costs, and at design level or MSME, I'm sure student level it's very, very cheap today, 3,000 you can apply, But carry 3 IP with you. That's the only way you can multiply your gains, okay. Without those IPs, very difficult to do in jobs or something. Even in business, you want to start in that. So build some things, sketch something, write something. Everything is an opportunity, however silly or small it is, that change. And everything around you, I mean, in next year, if you're going to transform your chaiwala outside together and make it look the most swankiest chaiwala, where the world is coming here and taking a picture with him, I think you guys have done something. He's going to speak about you that. So opportunity is next door. It's not when you go to industry and do boring jobs. Okay, industry is boring. It's too focused on their own thing, and you might do that. I mean, choose to do 5 days a week for that, but rest of the 3 days, it's your time. What you do with that and that.
If there are more questions, there will be a chance to interact with Abhijit later. I thank you all for coming, and of course, a big thank you to Abhijit to come all the way and sharing his insights. Yeah. It's also a great opportunity to learn from him, his journey, and how he came upon this thought, which is actually very provocating, and I think we all should thank him for sharing this with us, because it's really unique. It talks about Indian design. This is something that we only keep talking, but he's actually shown us how it would work. Yeah? Yeah. So it's for all of you how to take it forward, and of course you can always connect back to him, get more feedback from him, but use this opportunity the best you can. Thank you.